All right. Hi. Welcome to another great TherapyWorks Facebook Live. And today we're joined here by Mike Johnson, one of our excellent PTAs. And he's here today to talk about wrist pain. So Mike, let's just jump right into it. So, wrist pain, we chose this topic because it's one of the top 10 conditions that we treat here at TherapyWorks. So could you tell us a little bit about why it's so common?
Yeah, wrist pain it's common because it's overuse, and we all have phones and we all have computers and you use your hands all the time. So it just makes sense that it would be problematic. So
yeah,
I would say out of anything I've seen in the last 17 years, I'd say wrist pain is the most problematic, but also the easiest to really fix. Unless it's something like carpal tunnel or cubital tunnel, that's a whole different beast. But for the most part, it's not bad.
Yeah, still fixable. Just like takes a bit more on your end.
For sure.
So, if someone's experiencing wrist pain, or kind of starting to have some twinges, what are some good stretches that might help them out?
So the great thing about wrists, while they do a lot of things, there's only a few that you really have to remember, right? So anytime your wrist is down, right? A lot of times with wrists, it is the majority. It's about bad positioning, right? If you're lifting and your wrist is really pinched back or really far forward, or if you have a motorcycle, I'm kidding. But yeah. So it's really,
or typing at a weird angle. I get that one.
Honestly, that is a thing. That's really a big deal. But there are a couple exercises, stretches, I guess. It's a prayer stretch, that's what they call it. You do a stretch for 20, 30 seconds, no more than that, maybe 2 to 3 times, and then the exact opposite.
Awesome. And I should jump in here, these are all great tips in general, but, we haven't seen you haven't been, treated individually by Mike. So if you're experiencing pain with any of these, go ahead and stop. These are just things that help most people. And if you feel comfortable, you go ahead and give them a try.
For sure.
So, what about exercises? What do you kind of commonly do for those?
So depending on what it is, a lot of times we will do weighted wrist, like flexion extension, right? Not a ton of flexion because that'll start pinching things, but really just weights. We'll do like supination and pronation. We'll do extension flexion. It's just, and it doesn't have to be till failure. A lot of people think that you have to lift till failure, you have to work till failure. It's not, especially with something as fragile as a wrist. It's just fatigue.
Yeah. All right. So, and I guess just kind of one of the questions that come up a lot is like, why the exercises? Stretching feels good right away, but like, why would you do exercises to help you out and feel better?
Because just as human beings, we tend to kind of shrink up, right? So imagine your range of motion diminishing, right? So instead of being able to write with a pencil, you can't move your wrist or you can't move your fingers, right? So it's super important just for optimal range of motion, just to stay moving, right? So important. I can't emphasize that enough, right?
Gotcha.
Just staying moving.
Awesome, thanks. So, those are some great ways to, kind of deal with a bit of wrist pain when you have it. But what are some good ways to like maybe avoid wrist pain?
So I would say, just, again, stay moving. Recognize that if you bump it or something, and it's sore, it's bruised or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a wrist problem. That's probably something that's just cosmetic, something on the outside. If it is something that is that prolongs for like 10 to 14 days or something like that, then I would maybe take a closer look at it, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. So, I guess kind of going off of that, lots of people have wrist pain or have, something that hurts. How do you know when it's time to like go and seek outside help? Not just like ice it at home, but go ahead and give us a call.
It's a timing thing. It's like I said, it's if it's a couple of days, that's cool. But if it's starting to really hinder your activities of daily living, right? Like I made a joke earlier about motorcycles, but if you really can't start your motorcycle, if you really can't write, if you really can't type, if it hurts to text, then, and it's for a prolonged period of time, or it's progressively getting worse, it's time to probably go see somebody.
Awesome. So, and here's where I like to, talk a little bit about our complimentary consultations, because I think that those are such a great tool. If you're starting to feel pain or you're not quite sure, like, should I talk to somebody? Should I not? Is it time? Is it going to go away on its own? The complimentary consultations are a really great way to, like, basically just sit down and chat with a therapist and say, hey, this is what I've been experiencing. What should I do? And, because, I hang out with you guys. I know you guys. I can, call you up and say, hey, I've been feeling this. What's going on? But not everybody has friends that are therapists. So we like, at TherapyWorks, we love to be everybody's friend who's a therapist who can, bring you in, sit you down for 10, 15 minutes, or even over the phone, and talk through, what you've been experiencing, what you've tried, and what might your next steps be. So if you're in doubt, go ahead and give us a call. The number is 785-749-1300. And, we would love to talk to you and just kind of work out the next steps. So with that said, lots of great advice. I know this is a really quick one, but lots of awesome advice, jammed right in there. So do you have anything else to add before we go?
No, I just would piggyback off of what you said and say, like, get another set of eyes on it because it's important, right? Also, I've done a couple of those phone consultations and they're so cool because it's wham bam, it's easy, right? Yeah. And it's you don't have to worry about getting there and policies and all stuff going into the building. You can just like get it on the phone, get like give them a quick synopsis. We should probably, if it's especially a wrist, it shouldn't be that difficult to diagnose.
Yeah. And, and that's also one of those things, like you say, it's like wham, bam, it's so quick. It's so quick for you to just like know that you're doing the right thing or know what your next steps should be. It's also quick for us. So it's really easy for us to fit you into the schedule. You don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks to go and see your doctor and, sit down, do a whole thing. Like, when it's a quick question, you shouldn't, or, just to, this doesn't feel right. Am I crazy? Is it wrong? Is it fixable? Those kinds of things. It's so easy. So like, really just don't hesitate.
Agreed.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Mike.
No worries.
All right.